Second call for Group 1 market heifers. Second call, Group 1 market heifers. All right, our judges back. So if you have Group 1 of market heifers, please have them up at the gate, and we'll go ahead and get started. There's going to be 4 in this first class. If you have a market heifer that's in Group 2, go ahead and start making its way to the ring. Looks like there's going to be 3 classes of market heifers. Following that, we will go into 3 classes of steers, and we'll get into the breeding beef. After the 3 classes of heifers, we'll choose champion, reserve champion market heifer. Same for the steers. 3 classes, choose those overall, and then we'll go into the breeding. In the ring is our first group of market heifers. Heifers weigh in 976 to 1046. 4 head in this class. If you're in group 2, you need to make your way to the ring. Final call for group number 2, market heifers. Final call, group 2.
We switch gears here and get out of the showmanship and get into evaluating the livestock and not so much your exhibitors. For me, it's just the Smokies heifer. This is the market heifer division, not a breeding heifer division, so you kind of lay your emphasis, or in my mind, lay my emphasis a little different perspectives. Got to appreciate this young man's Smoky heifer. Yeah, she is the more moderate female, compact female, but has the most shape and dimension of muscle as you study her down her top and down into her base of her quarter and into her stifle. She's starting to lay down some condition to make a grade and hit the rail with some quality. Just a really good high quality market animal for this young man. Wish I could just maybe free her up just a nickel and soften her up in her pasture as you ask her to travel around the ring, but it's a good quality market animal for this young man. The black and white heifer that comes out next probably closely resembles as much as the bottom trio heifers that are class winner, that has some shape down her top and not the loin edge, and has some width out through her pin set and down into the base of her quarter. The young man, Hereford marked heifer that comes out next, really have to appreciate this one from the side. Love her balance and her neatness through her chest floor and her depth of flank, her quality and her types, her muscle ties deep down into her stifle. Just wish she had some outward shape and some more condition and some more pounds of product to compete with the heifers ahead of her. Young man's heifer concludes the class. Really love this one's rib shape, love her hip shape. From a breeding heifer standpoint, this maybe gives up that muscle and that terminal condition to be a market heifer for me today. Let's give him a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Results of group number 1, class consisting of 1 purple and 3 blues. Receiving that purple is Kason Niemeyer of Cortland. Second, Austin Costel of Odell. Third is Chase Larson of Beatrice. And fourth, Cash Bergen of Beatrice. Entering the ring is group number 2, market heifers. There's 5 entries in this class. If you are in group number 3, you need to be making your way to the barn or to the show ring. Final call for group number 3, market heifers. Final call for that last class of group number 3.
As we move up in weight here and into some bigger, stouter market heifers, young man's black heifer that leads off the class for me is just the combination heifer. Starting to lay down some adequate in her studying her rib shape. Love her finish and her quality of great as you get your hands on her. I really love this one's shape as you study her out through her upper hip and down into her stifle. Really appreciate this one as you ask her to get out and go. She has that extra reach, but maybe just standing here on this concrete and you know her angles are all correct, but she's been tied up here at the county fair and walking around this concrete, she maybe gets a little ouchy footed, maybe wants to knuckle over on a pasture just ever so slightly, but I count that to just being tied up and walk around concrete when they're used to being on dirt at home. But a really good high quality heifer to lead off this class. Young lady's heifer that comes out next, the red heifer, another highly muscular, shapely female. Just really wish this heifer was just maybe a little more descript and shapely in her upper hip. She gets a little plainer and flatter in her upper hip and flatter at the base of her quarter, but another good high quality. Another really good high quality market heifer for this young lady. Young man's heifer, the blonde heifer that comes out next. When she first walked in the ring, I thought here's our class winner to follow our class winner from before, but maybe just gets up out horsed in her frame score and just maybe gets a little too quick in her kind for me. And then you get your hands on her, she's a little more bare over that 10th and 13th rib. But just a really good muscular shape heifer, just maybe a little too moderate and quick in her kind for me today. Young man's heifer that comes out next, the black heifer. Another heifer I described earlier in the first class, maybe gets a little more breeding in her kind. Really appreciate and femininity and length the neck she has. Love how her shoulder lays in flat into her shoulder. But just really just had a little more shape and oomph and maybe had a little more cover for the market heifer division. The young lady's heifer that comes out next, maybe our bigger scaled heifer, maybe it's going to be the best market heifer in the end, but today she just gives up some of that muscle shape and gets a little too bare over her last rib for me today. Let's give her a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Group 2 consisted of 2 purples and 3 blues. Top purple, Dayton Pullman of DeWitt. Second purple was Addison Koenig of Beatrice. Receiving blues was Wyatt Pullman, Landry Krause, and Claire Schnelly. Entering the ring is going to be the final class of market heifers. This is going to be Group 3. Heifers weighing 1368 to 1552. Need the 1 purple that was out of Group 1 and the 2 purples that just completed Group 2 to make your way back to the ring. You'll be compete for the overall Grand and Reserve market heifer after this class.
So if the day is going to be this challenging for the rest of the day, it's going to be fun, but a lot of work on my part. Trying to keep my eyes geared towards, I realize these are females, but this is a market heifer division, and these females are the counterparts to our steer mates, and these are supposed to go to the rail and be killed like our steer mates or our finished product. So for me, I guess, lay my emphasis in different spots. If some of these heifers were in a breeding show later today, it could finish different. We could reshuffle this order around a lot. But for me, I guess, from a market readiness and a market standpoint, this is how, I guess, from my perspective, from a retail product, pounds of product, a finished quality, those key instruments that lay in a market show, that's where I laid my emphasis on this class. I know some of you guys might disagree with me as we shuffle some of these around, and I can't disagree if we ran these heifers into a breeding show or something, and they explained to me that the premium auction's very good here, and I understand why some of these young people brought some of these high quality females out of a breeding class and into a premium sale, and if they didn't want to bring a steer, I understand that, but justifying from my perspective on how I sorted these, it's from a market readiness and a muscle standpoint is how I line these up. The young lady's black heifer that starts off the class is maybe another one of those combination heifers that has that muscle shape and power and substance, but from her fat indicators to me, and get your hands on her, she's the closest to market readiness for me to go to the rail and try to grade choice. Young man's white female that comes out next, high volume, big muscled, stout female, maybe just gets a nickel bearer in her condition compared to our class winner, but still getting close to that marketing readiness. A few more days on feed, that one could hit the rail and maybe get close to choice grade. Young lady's female, red female that comes out next, that's the big problem one for me if it's not a sore thumb. That's a tremendous, tremendous female. Love that one from a breeding standpoint. Love her body capacity, love her shape. Maybe if she could just tie her up, just a neater behind her shoulder, but that's getting pretty critical of a really nice breeding female. Just wish she had some more fat cover on her for a market heifer condition for me today. Young man's heifer that comes out next, blonde heifer, high muscled, stout female, maybe gets a little off in her top. You could wish her she'd hook up a little better behind her shoulder and a little square and level her through her hip. But another high volume, heavy muscle female, just wish she had a few more days on feed to get some more condition laid over that last rib for me. And then the young lady's heifer that concludes the class, the black female, really good high quality conditioned female that's probably going to make great as far as condition. Just wish she had some more muscle shape and true shape of muscle down to the styrofoam and lower part of her body. Let's give them a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Out of group group number 3, once again 2 purples and 3 blues. Winning the class was Grace Lovell of Adams. Second was Zach Schnelli of Beatrice. Receiving blues, Lainey Tronick, Bentley Myers, and Collins Meir. At the ring, we should have the top purples from group 1, 2, and 3. This is going to be for selection of the Grand and Reserve champion here at the fair. If you have a steer in group number 1, you need to be making your ring at this time. Following selection of the Grand and Reserve champion steer, if you had a animal that went through the ultrasound contest, at that point you don't need to bring your animal to the ring. Just you individually come up. We'll just bring the kids in the ring. We'll announce the results of that. Once again, that's following the selection of the Grand and Reserve steer. We will have the ultrasound contest. No animal needed, just individually come on into the ring. We will award those ribbons and awards. Final call for group number 1, Market Steers. Final call, group 1.
We get our 3 class winners back out here in our seconds. I think these females, for me, from a market readiness, market heifer division, these 3 represent their classes as well as I can. There's 3 or 4 heifers out here, I guess, for me to get to select for your champion reserve. I'm going to give them one more look, and I'll go out here and select your champion reserve. Let's give these exhibitors a big round of applause.
The Grand Champion Market Heifer at the 2025 Gage County Fair goes to Grace Lavelle of Adams, and the Reserve Champion Market Heifer, Dayton Pullman. At the ring, coming in at the moment, is Group 1 Market Steers. These are steers that are weighing 1058 to 1236. If you have a steer in group number 2, please start making your way to the ring. Final call, Group 2, Market Steers. Final call, Group 2.
We've got some different shapes and kinds and styles of steers out here and different stage endpoints. Some of these young steers might be geared towards the later endpoint, but for me today, the young man's the Baldy steer here is a little more conventional in his kind, but yet has that fat steer look and has that market readiness look as you study him up through his front 1/3 and his depth and softness of his flank. You get your hands on him. He has the most cover over at 12th and 13th rib. Is he the most shapely steer? No, but he's really good and he has that market readiness, market appearing look for me for the lead off this class. Young man's red steer, solid red steer that comes out next, maybe gets a little plainer in his kind compared to the steer in front of him, but yet has some of that market readiness. You get your hands on him, has some adequate cover. As you study him, as you down into his shape, love that substance of belly and the shape, rib shape he has. Just wish he had a little more shape and muscle in his upper hip. Young man steer that comes out next is maybe the problem child of the class. Really love that shape and muscle, but for me, he just gets a little too quick in his kind, maybe a little too moderate in his in his size for me. Really appreciate his shape of muscle at his upper hip and down into his quarter. Maybe I could free him up a little bit, maybe lay him in a little neater about his shoulder, but just a really stout, moderate, quick steer for this young man to come out in third. Young man steer that comes out with the black and white steer next really balances up really nice from the side, but to go to get your hands on him, gets a little more bare over his cover, gets a little narrow down through his chest floor, and gets a little flatter at the base of his quarter. Just really good balanced steer from the side. Young man steer that comes out next with the smoky steer, really shapely steer, really big and thick through his rump, maybe just doesn't carry that muscle and dimension up through his front part of his body, gets a little more immature as you study him up through his front 1/3. Some more days on feed, and that steer can maybe move up a little higher for me today. Young man steer that concludes the class, really long spine, really looks like going to be a good feeding steer, just needs a quality, a few more days, and maybe an end point down the road in a few weeks. Let's give him a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Group 1 consisted of 2 purples, 2 blues, and 2 reds. Winning that class, Chase Larson of Beatrice. Second, Bo McClintock of Odell. Receiving blues, Dayton Pullman and Shelton Crawford. Receiving reds, Karsten Schnelly and Preston Costal. This is your group number 2 market steer class. Steers weigh in from 1242 up to 1384. If you have a steer in group number 3, please start making your way to the ring. Final call for Group 3, Market Steers. Final call, Group 3.
As we move up here in our weight range and get a little closer to industry standards and industry where we're at, moving in our commercial standpoint and kill floors, young man steer that comes out and leads off the class here, just for me, just the combination steer. He has that structural integrity as you ask him to get out and move, but yet has some muscle and condition and finish to hit the grail with some quality and some grade. Really appreciate this one steer. Maybe wish he had that fluffy hair coat to make him look like a fancy show steer, but for a good market ready steer, there's a young man steer leads off the class, kind of does that pretty handily. Really appreciate the shape and the condition of the steer. Young lady steer that comes out next, just really wish I could free him up and get some angles back in that rear hock and get some flex and give as you ask him to get out and travel. Really wish you could maybe, if you really study him and you really get up on him, wish I could pull his pin set apart just for a little bit as you study how much width of hook bones and width the stifle he has. I wish we could just pull that pin set just ever so slightly and set that tail head down in him just a nickel. But really nice, good fat steer for this young lady. Just wish she could travel a little easier. Young man steer that comes next. Really love this one from the side. Love the balance and the look and the length of spine. Just maybe gives up that muscle shape and power and the condition to this two steers ahead of him. But really appreciate the balance and look and style this one has from the side. Young man steer comes out next, a smoky steer. Love this one's rib shape and depth of body, and love his with the stifle and with the muscle he has down in the lower portion of his body. Just wish you could put a little more cover on him and level him up from hooks to pins. Maybe tie him in just a little nickel kneader from his top of his shoulder and behind his shoulder there into his spine. But just a really good feeding for the steer. Just needs a few more days on feed for some more cover. Young man steer concludes the class. Looks like he's done a good job with this project for the steer. Just maybe gets out horsed in a muscle standpoint and gets out horsed and maybe some days on feed. Really appreciate the soundness and quality of foot structure the steer has. Just wish he had some more oomph to compete with the steers ahead of him. Let's give him a round of applause.
Results of Group 2. Class consisting of 2 purples, 3 blues. Winning the class, Logan Koenig of Beatrice. In second, Kinley Naveen of Adams. Receiving blues, Kian Morris, Caleb Schnelly, and Jonah Lavelle. Entering the ring is group number 3, the final class of the market steers. Steers weigh in 1418 to 1560. If you are the first or second place animal in group 1 and 2, please make your way to the gate. Following the selection of this class, we will have the class for the Grand and Reserve Champion Market Steer. Following that, right before we get into the breeding beef, Anybody who had a animal that was in the ultrasound contest individually, you will come up to the ring. We'll announce those results and hand out the ribbons. Following that, we will get into the breeding. Those are broken out by breeds. Once we get to breeding, first class is going to be the fall heifer Angus class. Final call. If you are one of the first or second place purples in Group 1 or Group 2 market steers, please be up at the gate.
As we get into our heavyweight steers, for me, it's kind of some give and take and some push and give on sorting down through here. But for me, the young lady's black and white steer that leads off the class. This is still the show ring, and we're still trying to make some eye-appealing cattle. She ties together the most good things. Is she the stoutest, heaviest muscled one? No. Is she the most conditioned one? No. But is she good in her muscle? Is she good in her condition? Is she ready for today and adequate in her market readiness and her weight and her type and kind to fit her body condition? Yes. But then you tie that, add the extras, and she has that hair coat and that eye appeal and that length of spine and that study of her neck, of her ties in the top of her shoulder, and she asks her to get out and move, has that flex and give. For me, that just ties all the good things in a quality package, complete package for me to win this class. Young man steer that comes out with this big heavyweight, stout, shorthorn appearing steer, really have to appreciate his condition. The weight doesn't bother me one bit because our industry's taking these steers and killing them at 14 and a half, 15, even 1,600 pounds. He hits right in that market readiness. He's probably the one, it's probably of any of the steers we've seen today, he's probably the one closest to hit prime. That one steer is really good in his type and kind. Yeah, he has some muscle shape as you study him down through his lower 1/3 of his body, has that extra dimension for that big, heavy, big, stout steer, ties it all together in a nicely balanced package, just gives some of the eye appeal to our class winner today. Young lady steer that comes out next maybe gets a little more conventional as kind, doesn't have that fluffy hair coat or that shininess and hairness of the steers ahead of him, but really good as you study him, as his upper shape and his upper hip and down into his stifle and his quarter, has that muscle shape. You get your hands on him, he's starting to lay some more condition. You study some fat indicators through his brisket and through his cod and through his lower 1/3 of his body. He has that extra things that lead you to believe he'll hit choice when he hits the rail down the road. The young man steer that comes out next here maybe is a problem steer for me. As you ask you stand still and study him, you love his shape and muscle, you love some of the things he has about him, but just wish you could study him, change him structurally, maybe put a little more shape into him. Love his muscle volume, just wish we could put more shape in his upper hip, maybe sound and set him back in his kneecap a little bit as you ask him to stand there and wants to buck over in that front knee ever so slightly. Young lady steer that comes out next, another one of those close to anything we've seen today that'll probably hit the prime grade. This maybe gives up that volume of muscle and that shape and the style and pizzazz some of the steers ahead of him today. Young man steer comes out next. Love the shape and length, the spine, the body capacity. Just wish we could all tie it together. He kind of gets a little awkward as you get him out and move. He gets a little easy behind his shoulders. He has a lot of big pieces. They just don't tie together and balance up. Then once you get your hands on him, he gets a little more bare of any of the steers we felt in this class. As you study him over his 12 and 13 3 of, and you get down into his flank, he gets a little bare. Needs a few more days on feed for me. Let's give him a round of applause.
Winning group number 3, a class that was made up of 3 purples and 2 blues. In first place, Dayton Dorn of Adams. Second, Boston Crawford of Beatrice. Third purple is Claire Lavelle of Adams. Receiving blues, Dempsey Dorn, Clara Farringer, and Creighton Koenig. In the ring now. These will be the first and second purples of all 3 groups. Out of group 1, Bo McClintock and Chase Larson. Chase actually had first in that class. Bo was second. Group 2, Logan Koenig. Second in that class, Kinley Naveen. Then out of group 3, once again, Dayton Dorn and Boston Crawford. This is for Grand and Reserve Champion at the Gage County Fair. Following this, if you had an animal that was in the beef ultrasound contest, individually, just please make your way to the ring. We'll announce those winners and hand out the ribbons, and then we'll immediately go into the breeding part of the show. Starting off with Angus Fall heifers. As our judge is making his selection today for the champion steer, we'd like to welcome our judge, Eddie Sandberg from Agenda, Kansas. Eddie grew up in Indiana in a diversified operation there. He attended Kansas State and was a member of their judging team. Worked for Kevin Jansen of Kansas for 20 years. He's happily married, got 3 boys. They operate a 100-head cow-calf operation raising Simmental and Herefords. Eddie's been fortunate enough to judge coast to coast, also national champions in 3 different countries. If you could, let's welcome our judge today. Let's give him a round of applause, Eddie Sandberg.
We bring our 3 class winners back out here in our 3 seconds for our champion steer. For me, I guess it was like I've tried to emphasize the whole time on the market show. We need to get some cattle that have some shape and some muscle and some true dimension, but yet some market readiness and some quality so we can get to our Packer appeal and days on feed. And this is kind of, for me, I guess, county fair. I know that some of these steers have other endpoints and different endpoints. We have state fair and Exarban and other shows down the road. But for me, I guess when you come to the county fair and want to win the steer show, they need to be market ready, 12 o'clock, time to do it. Act as if this is your endpoint show. And if you get beat because it's not your endpoint and you're not ready, and accept it. And I've been beat several times because we've had steers want to go on to State Fair or Exarban or the Royal or any other show after later this fall. But we took them to the county fair to get them broke. But for me, I guess the steer that needs to have muscle and shape and condition and market readiness. And then after that, then we could do the extras and some of the eye appeal and the things like that. But I think I've tried to lay my emphasis and keep it consistently as we sorted through the steer show. Let's give these kids a round of applause, and I'll go here and show you my 2 champions. And your grand champion market steer, that's awarded to Dayton Dorn of Adams. And the reserve champion goes to Logan Koenig of Beatrice. Congratulations to those 2. Okay, at this time, if you had an animal that was entered in the ultrasound contest, and I believe that probably happened when you guys were checking your animals in and getting them weighed individually, I just need all the 4-H members to come into the ring.
Are we going?
Understand that some of you might be getting your animals ready, but if you could, it's going to help the clerks hand out their ribbons. If you absolutely cannot make it to the ring here, you can come up to the announcer stand to the awards table up front and they can get it to you. So if we could get all the kids that had an animal in the ultrasound contest up at the ring at this time. If you have Angus breeding heifers and cows, go ahead and get them up to the ring as well. Start with Angus and then we'll go into Charolais. you have ultrasound animals, go ahead and individually, just all you kids come into the ring. So the ultrasound contest, they had that done. There is a spreadsheet that each of the kids are going to get that have the results on them. If you are interested in to see what these ultrasounds are, just reach out to a child out there. If not, I believe we have 1 or 2 copies left here up at the announcer stand. You can come up and take a picture of it if you like. 2, 4, 6, 9. I believe we got 14. Is that good enough, Jamie and Kara? Let's go ahead and roll with it. Okay. All right, receiving a red is Preston Costal. Is Preston here? Receiving a blue, Austin Costal. Karsten Schnelly. Jonah Lavelle. Claire Lavelle. Creighton Koenig. Dempsey Dorn. Chase Larson. Wyatt Pullman. Chase also had another blue. Caleb Schnelly. And our final blue goes to Logan Koenig. So for our top 5, all 5 of these receive purples. In 5th, Grace Lavelle. In 4th, Claire Schnelly. In 3rd, Dayton Pullman. In 2nd, Addison Koenig. And it looks like Dayton might know what's coming. We're receiving first place. Purple ribbon is Dayton Pullman. This animal had a ribeye fat of 0.43, ribeye area of 15.47. The IMF was 6.309. Had a weight of 1058. Hanging carcass weight of 672. The yield of 1.87. Congratulations to all of our exhibitors and to Dayton Pullman. Once again, if you'd like to see the results, we'll just have it up front here at the awards table. You can grab a picture of that if you want. So that's to announce there's a Nissan Pathfinder that's over by the 4-H building that has a car blocked in. I believe it's black in color. Purchased from Sid Dillon. License plate is 3, A as an apple, 7063. If you could move that car as soon as you could, person in front of you would appreciate it. Once again, a Nissan Pathfinder, purchased from Sid Dillon, 3A 7063. At the ring, we should have our Angus Fall heifers, 9/1/24 to 12/31/24. These heifer classes, some of them are just some individual entries or small amounts. Please keep your animals up at the ring when we get to these breeds. Angus is going to be first, 4 classes, then we'll go into Charolais. we're starting off the breeding beef. In the ring is the Angus class of fall heifers, once again from September 1st to December 31st of 24. At the gate, we need spring yearlings, followed by junior yearlings, and then the heifer and cow. We've added to our lost and found items up at the awards table, up in front of the announcer stand. I believe there's a set of AirPods. If you are missing your AirPods, they're going to be up here. There's also I think it's a silver cup, and also some type of straw topper, they said. Goes on the top of a straw for one of those cups.
As we move on here to the breeding heifer show, young man that leads off the class here, just appreciate the quality and body and volume that this young man has, but yet so elegant about her front 1/3. Really have to appreciate the structural integrity as you have to get this one and move. Really appreciate the foot and soundness and structure this one has. Really good, high quality all female for this young man. Let's give him a round of applause. Next heifer in the lineup here, this young man's heifer maybe just gives up some of that depth to shape and that rib shape, but really study her. She really balances up from the side. You really love the levelness of lines she has. Wish maybe she just stood down on some more substance of bone and had some more of the extras that our class winner has, but just a really good high quality maternal female for this young man to feature down the road. The young lady's heifer comes out next, maybe has some pieces that are a little bigger and better, but also has some bigger holes into a heifer ahead of her. Really love her rib shape and her body capacity. Just maybe she tied together just a nickel better. Maybe it was down a little square on her foot and traveled with more squareness from behind as you ask her to get out and move. Young lady's heifer, another big bodied, really soggy made type female, but it just gets a little easy in her top, maybe a little more off in her hooks, doesn't balance up so neatly from the side. Wish her neck just looked a little neck tighter and higher into her top of her shoulder. Just a really good long spine maternal female. Just wish she balanced up a nickel better. Young man's heifer here is really level design female. Just gives out some of that performance and age and quality to the heifers ahead of him. Let's give him a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Winning that class that consisted of 3 purples and 2 blues. First purple, Corbin Schroeder of Beatrice. Second, Samuel Schnelly Diller. Final purple, Reese Barnard of Beatrice. Receiving blues, Baylor Barnard and Jaredin Linder. Have a single entry in the ring right now. This is the spring yearling, March 1st to April 30th. At the gate should be the junior yearling, followed by the 2-year-olds.
Here we have a single entry in our spring yearling division. Really appreciate the quality and femininity this heifer has up through her front 1/3. Really love her levelness lines as you study her out through her hooks into pins. Really carries some dimension as you study for a maternal volume of muscle down into her lower third of her body. Just a really nice female. It's elite in her single entry. Let's see how she competes and compares up into the final drive.
Receiving a purple in the spring yearling class, Baylor Barnard of Beatrice. This is a junior yearling class, January 1st of 24 to February 29th of 24. At the gate should be the 2 entries for 2-year-olds.
Young ladies heifer with the February heifer will win the class. Just for me, just has the extras and the length of spine and body capacity, the optimum set to her rear leg. If I could change this heifer, I'd like just to freshen her up just a little bit. She's maybe just getting a nickel stale and a little more get her conditioned for this stage of the game of her life, but just have to appreciate the length of spine and body capacity and extras she gives us today to win the class. Young ladies heifer that comes out next and second, the older January female, a little more moderate in her kind, maybe a little more compact in her design, a little more easier fleshing female as compared to her heifer in front of her, but just have to appreciate her loveness line. Just once again, I wish I could freshen her up just a little bit, clean up some of those pones around her tail head, maybe clean her up in her lower 1/3 so she doesn't jiggle it through her flank, but just a really nice high capacity female for this young lady. Let's give them a round of applause.
Winning the junior yearling class, congratulations, Tatum Schroeder of Beatrice. Second, also receiving a purple, Reese Barnard of Beatrice. 2 entries here in the 2-year-old Angus class. Following selection of this, we need the first and second purples from all the Angus classes to come back and compete for the champion and reserve Angus. Then we're going to go into Charolais. If you have any Charolais, you need to make your way to the ring at this time.
You got to giggle here just for a second. These twin brothers that are identical. I have a set of twin identical sons at home that are 8-year-olds that compete against each other in everything they do, just like these two probably do their whole lives. But for me, the young man's heifer that comes out first year just has that added dimension. I guess I sell commercial bulls for a living, and our bulls, my customers want some bulls that have some muscle and pattern and mass and design to add some pay weight. And for me, this female is the one that's going to raise the high quality bull calves for me to market some of my commercial combusters. She maybe just ties this as soft, just a nickel softer in her rib shape, just maybe just a nickel neater as you stud her up into her shoulder and into her neck and ties it into her top of her shoulder. I wish I could clean her brisket up and maybe just extend her about her front 1/3, but just love the power and dimension. It's still maternal about her front 1/3. Young man's heifers maybe the sleeker design, smoother shouldered, longer neck female, just maybe gives up some of that added dimension and power for me. 2 really high quality June-born heifers for these twin brothers. Let's give them both a round of applause as they exit the ring.
In the Battle of the Twins, Samuel won that one. Samuel Schnelly beat Liam. Both received purples. At this time, we will have a selection of the champion and reserve champion Angus. You are first or second purple in either of those first 4 classes. Be at the gate. All Charolais classes should be up at the gate as well. Following Charolais, we'll go into the Simmental.
As we get our respective class winners back out here in our Angus division and our respective seconds out to these class winners, let's give these young exhibitors and these breeders a big round of applause. It's a high quality set of females for these young people. I guess it's, for me, like I was talking earlier, it's just some of the extras. We've got 4 good high-quality females that are class winners that'll go out and make tremendous Angus mamas for these young people that can do a lot of different things in the industry. But for me, it's just some of the extras and little things that separate some of these class winners for me. I'll go out here and select your champion reserve. Let's give them a round of applause.
Congratulations to champion Angus breeding animal out of the fall heifer class, Corbin Schroeder of Beatrice. Reserve champion came out of the junior yearling class. That one is owned by Tatum Schroeder, also of Beatrice. At the ring, first class of Charolais to be fall heifers, September 1st of 24 to December 31st, 2024. Following this class, we'll go into the summer or intermediate heifers. in still need of a vehicle over by the 4-H building to be moved. Is blocking another person that is desperately trying to leave. It's a Nissan Pathfinder. I believe it's kind of black in color. License plate 3A7063. Another vehicle that might be able to move to help that person get out. It's a GMC Acadia. That one has Texas plates, WMN9038. If you're the owner of either of those vehicles, if you could go over by the 4-H building as soon as you could, if you could move to allow that person in front of you to leave, that would be greatly appreciated.
Switching gears again here into our Charolais division, young lady's fall-born heifer comes out here is just so substance and power and dimension, but yet so elegant and smooth in her muscle pattern. Maybe she's not the neatest, prettiest thing up through her front 1/3, but she opens up with so much dimension and power and substance for me, but yet balances up from the side. You study her from her chest floor out through her flank. Ask this one to get out and move. She has the proper angles in her hock and down to her pastern, has that extra give and reach for her power and substance she has. Young man's heifer that comes out next is the bigger scaled, longer spine female that's a little more elegant about her design up through her front 1/3, but has some bigger holes for me as she doesn't balance up from the side. Maybe that's just for a growth spurt and through the 8 stage of the little game that she's going through, but she gets a little tighter in her heart and forerib. Maybe just doesn't have that substance and power as the heifer ahead of her, but has that extra added length of spine and length of front end, but just gives up some of that substance to our class winner. Young lady's heifer that maybe closely resembles our second place heifer, but just gives up some of that balance and levelness of lines. Wish we could tie her a little neater behind her shoulder, level her up from hooks to pins, maybe drop her down and soften her flank for her age, but still gives up some power and dimension to the two ahead of them. Really good high quality length of spine, long neck female, just gives up some of that balance and levelness of lines for me. Young lady's heifer that concludes the class, heifer that maybe has some more muscle and power and dimension to our second and third compared to our second and third, but yet gives up some of that balance and neatness and eye appeal, maybe some of that levelness and lines we've been talking about to the ones ahead of her. Just a really good female for this young lady. Let's give them a round of applause.
Winning the fall heifer Charolais class, Hannah Schnelly. Receiving the second purple in that class is Caleb Schnelly. Receiving blues in third, Claire Schnelly. And in fourth, Briar Myers of Wilbur. Entering the ring is our summer intermediate Charolais heifer. At the gate should be the 2-year-old heifer or cow and the cow-calf pairs. Following selection of the champion and reserve Charolais, we're going to the Simmental breed. After that, all other breeds.
Let's give this young man with single entry summer-born heifer a round of applause. Really have to appreciate her rib shape and her muscle, and yet ties it into a feminine package. If I could get ultra critical about this one, I'd like to maybe just lay her back in the point of her shoulder, just that nickel ever so slightly, give her a little more angle up through her front 1/3. That way she'll be able to pick her head up out of the ground and get it up and top of her shoulder just a little more easier. And also, I'd like to maybe just level her up from her hook to her pin just ever so slightly, just to balance her up just ever so slightly. But let's give this young man a round of applause for his summer-born. That's a really nice cow prospect for this young man.
Receiving a purple in that class was Bentley Myers of Wilbur. Now hit the 2-year-old class. We'll follow that up with a cow-calf pair. We're showing the cow-calf pairs together here. Obviously, the cow from the previous class in the program will be awarded off of this class. Following this, we'll have the champion, Charlet, and reserve champion, and then we'll go into the Simmental breed.
Family I help in western Kansas is Charlet and their Angus breeders, and they live and die by showing pairs and love to show them, and so I get to play with the pairs a lot on the national level with those guys, and then when I get to go visit my friends at Agribition north of the border up there, and them guys only get to win cow shows unless you have a pair. So showing pairs and getting to fit them and show them and judge them, it's been kind of fun because all your homework's done. You're not guesswork what you're going to bring to the table, and as far as a calf, here's what it is. She's in her working clothes. You get to see her udder in production. You get to see what kind of calf she produces. And both these cows have done a well of job and have January calves that are doing very good and in quality and match their mother. And actually each calf matches the body style of each cow. So maybe some sire selection if you want to change something, or if you like what you're doing, just keep what you're doing because the cow is stamping them just like she is, and both cows are pretty high quality in their kind. I'm going to go with the 2-year-old just from an udder quality and a balance standpoint. Really have to appreciate her teat structure and her balance and symmetry of her udder, but still has the muscle and power and shape for me. Is raising a big, stout, heavy bull calf. For me, that's my commercial guys are going to want to latch onto that deal really handily. Young man's and young brother and sister combo up here with the aged cow. Really have to appreciate the look and style for an aged cow. For a 4 or 5-year-old cow, I think they said she was. And to have a January heifer calf with that elite looking up through her front 1/3, she's doing a whale of a job. Wish maybe I could just change her structure of her teat structure just a little bit, balance them up just from a size and symmetry standpoint. Maybe just balance up the heifer calf just a nickel from the side. If I could level her up through her lines, just to change her ever so slightly. But two really good high quality pairs. Let's give these brothers and sister combos a big round of applause.
Champion cow-calf pair goes to Zach Schnelly. Receiving the second purple in that class is Charity Schnelly. We're going to now have the selection of the champion reserve Charlet. At the gate, we should have all the Simmentals. If you have a Simmental breed, please get it up to the gate. Following Simmentals, we'll move into the all other breeds. But judging by some back tags or listening to some names, this is kind of a 2-family or 3-family operation in the Charlet deal in your county. And my hat's off to you guys of doing something right, raising some quality cattle that have some power and dimension like Charlet cattle are supposed to, but yet keeping some structural integrity in these cattle, some foot quality in their shape and size. Really have to appreciate some udder quality in these cows. But yet, you get down into the fall heifer calf, she's going to have a beautiful udder if you look and really study her. Her teat placement's really small and refined. Their spacing is just ideal. Let's give all these Charlet kids a big round of applause. I'll go ahead and pick your champion and reserve champion. Let's give them one more big round of applause. Champion Charlet goes to the cow-calf pair of Zach Schnelly. Reserve champion, fall heifer, that class won by Hannah Schnelly. Thank you to the sponsor of that award, the landmark implement for the champion, the reserve champion, Roars Machinery, Inc. Couple other sponsorship announcements. Today's champion market heifer, that award is sponsored by Ferguson Farms. Reserve champion market heifer, Gage County Farm Bureau. Champion Market Steer, that award, Beatrice Concrete Company. Reserve champion, Bouchite Inc. Then the ultrasound champion, Landmark Implement. Reserve champion, thank you to Froggy Bottom Farms.
Here, moving into the Simmental division, these young ladies, November-born, fall-born heifer here, really have to appreciate the look and the quality. She studied this one up through her front 1/3 and the extension she has. Love the length of spine and levelness out through her hip. Just wish maybe I could balance her up, and maybe it's just from her age and maturity standpoint, balance her up in her underline just ever so slightly. Drop her down in her forerib and her heart region just a little bit and soften her flank. Just changing her nitpicking on a fall heifer calf that's pretty high quality in her kind. Let's give her a round of applause as she exits the ring.
Receiving a purple for the fall heifer Simmental goes to Harper Schmidt of Claytonia. At the ring now should be the spring yearling class from March 1st, 24 to April 30th of 24. Following this class, at the gate, we should have the junior yearlings. Our Angus division today, that champion award, thank you very much to Kamek Farms for sponsoring that. Reserve champion, thanks to Tread Central.
So move on to our yearlings here in our Simmental division. These top two females are pretty tight. This is a four animal judging class, and the top cut, it's maybe a -3 instead of a +1 or whatever. I mean, it's a give and take. You can flip a coin, I guess. It's where you want to lay your emphasis and what personal preferences and little bitty things that separate these two high quality females. For me, the Bronco face female is maybe just a little more agile. As you ask her to get out and travel, she's got just that nickel more flex as you study her through her hock, through her kneecap, and down to the ground, but yet hits that ground and still elegant about her front 1/3, has that rib shape and muscle and pattern. If you could be ever so nitpicky, I think it's more of a hair thing. You study her through her flank, she gets maybe just a little softer and maybe a little chubbier through her udder area region, but I think if you just a little better clip job through that udder, she'd balance up a little better. Young ladies heifers, maybe just a nickel bigger scaled, nickel bigger framed to the heifer in front of her, still has that adequate and love her front end, love her shape and her size and her quality and her hip shape, but maybe just that agility thing for me, just maybe had that extra give and flex on that hock and knee pastern region. Maybe she could just switch places, but just two super high quality females. I love both those. We'll tell to take them home and put them in my cow herd. Yes. Young man's heifer that comes next in third really just ran into two buzzsaws. Love this one. I have a whole pasture full of this kind at home. Just maybe doesn't have that extra look and that smoothness through. You study her through her shoulder and forerib region. I wish I just could just stretch her out just a nickel and to clean up her through her throat latch just a little bit. Just wish she had that extra pizzazz. The two heifers ahead of her. Just a really good high quality female for this young man. Really have to give him appreciate too. Young lady's heifer that concludes the class. Just a really good Simmental female. Her biggest downfall is she gets a little too upright in her shoulder, maybe wants to roll over in her kneecap as you ask her to stand there and get out and travel. She wants to buck over ever so slightly on her front end, gets a little bold as you study her through her chest floor. Just wish you could neaten her up and her feminine and lay her shoulder in just a little so neatly about her front 1/3. Then maybe she can move up a slot or two, but just another good high quality female for this young lady. Let's give them a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Results of that spring yearling Simmental class consisting of 2 purples, 2 blues. Winning the class, Jordan Van Scoik of Beatrice. Second, Blakely Katz of Beatrice. Receiving blues, third went to Miles Esau, and fourth was Grace Lovell of Adams. Entering the ring is our junior yearling Simmental class, January 1st of 24 to February 29th of 24. Following this class, we need the first and second place purples from the previous 2 classes to be at the gate to compete for the champion and reserve champion Simmental. Following that, we go into the all other breeds. Please start having those animals up here in the show ring barn.
young lady that leads off this class. Just the added broodiness and maternal value and substance this young lady's heifer brings to the table today. Really appreciate the added volume and dimension, substance of bone, but yet you study her joint work. She's smooth through her hock and through her knee and down into her pastern, but adds that added substance and broodiness for me, the kind of female that would go home and raise some high quality commercial bulls for anybody down the road. Young man's heifer, he's struggling here, but he's fighting on and doing a good job. Really have to appreciate some femininity and structural quality this female has. You study up through her front 1/3. Maybe it just gives up some of that substance and some of that balance to the heifer that leads the class off. Really have to appreciate her rib shape that she brings to the table, but just really have to wish she could just give some more substance of bone and stretch her out just a nickel more. Young lady's heifer here comes in 3rd. Really have to love her rib shape and her substance, but maybe it has some pieces and holes. And her biggest hole for me is some of her structural integrity. She gets a little more rigid and upright in her movement, gets a little more rigid in her joint work as you ask her to get out and travel. Really good female despite her front 1/3, but just wish she could be flexible more off of both ends.
Results of the junior yearling class of 2 purples and 1 blue. First place, Marie Lavelle of Adams. Second, Miles Esau of Beatrice. Receiving a blue, Dayton Dorn of Adams. Will now compete for the champion and reserve champion Simmental. Top first and second purples in the previous classes will be in this one. Harper Schmidt with the fall heifer, Jordan Van Scoik and Blakely Katz out of the spring yearling, and then Marie Lovell and Miles Esau out of the last junior yearling. We'll then move into the all other breeds. If you have all other breeds, please get those over here to the show barn. Start off with the spring heifer class, followed by the fall heifers.
Well, this is a breed that's so near and dear to my heart. Quick little story, fall of 1989, I grew up a farm kid in Indiana, row crop, and Dad fed a pile of hogs because that's part of the world we grew up in is everybody fed hogs. And we'd feed 3,000 or 4,000 hogs a year, fat hogs every year out. And Dad had a handful of feedlot steers he'd feed, some Hereford cross steers. And he'd come to me in the fall of September, October, if I remember right, 1989, and said, hey, do you want to show cattle at 4-H? And I said, well, yeah, sure. And I was thinking I was going to go out and get one of those Hereford cross steers to show. And he loads me up in a pickup, and we go across the county to a Simmental breeder, and the gentleman we get out and introduce, and it's one of Dad's lifelong friends, his parents, and he goes, young man, if you want to get in the beef industry, go out here and select you a female and a steer, and you can have them for your first project. So in the fall of 1989, I had 2 flowered up Simmentals, and the Simmental breeders in here will know what I mean when they're flowered up. And when I say flowered up, they were as flowered up as you can get them. But after that day, I got hooked, and I've been a Simmental breeder for my whole life, and I've got the fortune of traveling the world, all over the United States and Canada. Been to Mexico a couple times, fitting on Simmentals, and South South America to Argentina twice. It's been a lot of fun and pleasure, but this is a breed that's so true to my heart, and a lot of people in this industry and in this part of the world I respect for growing up and watched from afar, followed their programs, got their sale catalogs depending on who their sale manager was, and got to watch those as a kid growing up, followed some programs in this part of the world and watched what they were doing and their breeding philosophies, and kind of molded myself after some of these people in this part of the world in the Simmental breed. But long story short, this is showing Herefords because that's what my wife says we get to do, and sometimes a happy wife has a happy life. But I think as my boys get older, we'll get to drag some black ones that she's letting me breed on my side hustle for my own deal. But let's give these kids a round of applause. 5 really high quality females. I'll go out here and respect your champion reserve. One more time, let's give them a big round of applause.
Your champion Simmental goes to Jordan Van Scoik. Thank you to State Line Farm Simmentals for that award. Reserve champion, congratulations, Blakely Katz. That award sponsored by Tronic Simmentals. We're now moving to the all other breeds. This is the single entry for the spring heifer class. At the gate should be the fall heifers, followed by the spring yearlings.
We've got a spring baby heifer calf. This young man's brought out a shorthorn appearing deal here in our AOB. Really have to appreciate the length and spine, length and extension and femininity up through her front 1/3. Really appreciate some of the shape you have. She's studied up through her upper hip and through her rib cage. If you just set her biggest problems when you set her in motion, it gets a little more rigid and upright in her angles, gets a little too stiff in her hock and knee pasturing for me, but just a really good high quality heifer calf for this young man. Let's give him a round of applause.
The single entry Purple Award winner in the spring heifer class. Congratulations, Shelton Crawford of Beatrice. Entering the ring is our fall heifer class. 9/1 of 24 to December 31st of 24. There'll be 3 head in this class. At the gate should be the spring yearling, all other breeds. If you have a market animal that you're going to be in the premium auction on Sunday, if you're in need of that form, it's down on the awards table in front of the announcer stand. If you have a market animal and need that form, once again, it's on the table in front of the announcer stand.
As we move into our fall division here in our AOB division, the young ladies Hereford appearing heifer that comes out, super high quality, love the body and mass and power, yet structural integrity. You ask this one to get out and travel, has that extra flex and give. Maybe he's not the most eye-appealing, pretty heifer as you study her through her chest floor and throat latch, but so maternally designed up through her front 1/3. Really love this one's body capacity and power. Really love this one's tailhead. Just a really good high-quality fall heifer for this young lady to have as a breeding female project down the road. Young lady's Hereford black heifer that comes out next just kind of runs out of gas compared to our Hereford heifer. Really love her balance in her lines and her levelness and design and her elite quality up through her front 1/3. Just gives up that extra substance and power and structural substance for the heifer ahead of her, but just a really good elite female for this young lady to make a brood cow out of down the road. The young man's Hereford heifer that comes out next, love her extra added performance and her substance, just maybe just to balance up and levelness in lines, maybe gets a little awkward as she gets her to get out and travel, maybe gets a little awkward in her movement, but just a really good brood cow for this young man. Let's give him a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Fall heifer results. Class that had 2 purples and 1 blue. Winning the class with her pulled Hereford, or with her Hereford, is Elise Derrickson. Second with the Bronze is Paisley Seabrandt. Receiving a blue is also Elise Derrickson. Entering the ring is the spring yearling all other breed class. At the gate should be junior yearlings, followed by the senior yearling.
As we move into our spring yearling division of AOBs, it's kind of the battle of the British breeds. Young man Shorehorn heifer that leads off the class. Just have to appreciate the elite femininity quality as you study up through her front 1/3, the balance and the rib shape, just ties it all into some structural quality. Just a nice, really good high quality show heifer for this young man. Let's give him a round of applause. The young man that comes next was his Hereford heifer. Just a really good middle of the road, good conventional type of polled Hereford female. Love her balance, love her levelness of lines. Just maybe gives up some of that extra elite quality and eye appeal and pizzazz to our class winner. But just really good maternal, long spine, long mate type of heifer to come in second. Young lady's heifer that comes in third. There's a little give and take between our third and fourth place heifers. Maybe have some levelness of structure issues and levelness of lines, but maybe just the length of body and depth of body, and maybe it's a little bit of muscle shape that separates these two. Just a really good high quality broody female, just maybe gives up some of that eye appeal. The young man that concludes the class, really love this one's front 1/3. Just maybe runs out of gas as you study her from her front to 1/3. Maybe just balance up from the side as neat and as quality as the heifers ahead of her. Let's give them a round of applause to 4 good, nice females for these young people.
Results of the spring yearling, all other breed class. Winning the class with a Shorthorn Plus is Boston Crawford. Second purple in that class went to the polled Hereford of Bo Beavers. Receiving blues, Miley Gaddy and Bo Beavers. Entering now is a class containing 2 head for the junior yearlings. Following that, we'll have the senior yearlings. If you are in the first class of commercial, you can start making your way to the show barn as well.
Just 2 heifers here in our junior yearlings of our AOB division. Young man's heifer that leads off the class. Just her added substance and depth of body and quality and balance. Just the maternal value she offers up through her front 1/3 and structural integrity. Just sorts herself to the top. Nothing to take away from the young lady's heifer that comes in second. Just maybe in a smaller package. Maybe just gets a little plainer through her throat latch and gets a little cresty as you study her up through the top of her neck. But just a really good quality female. Just gives up some of that power and extra performance and goodies to the heifer ahead of her. Let's give them a round of applause as they exit the ring.
The junior yearling class both received purples. Your winner, Luke Katz of Beatrice. Second, Grace Lovell of Adams. In the ring now is a senior yearling class consisting of 2 head. Following this, we'll need the first and second place animals from the previous 4 classes to come and compete for the champion reserve all other breeds. Following that, it's going to be the first class of commercial. There's only 1 in that for the fall heifer class. If you're in the spring yearlings, be making your way to the ring.
two really good high quality red Angus appearing heifers in our AOB senior yearling division. For me, from a breeder standpoint, getting nitpicky on some breeder things, some purebred industry nitpicky things, some udder quality and maybe some structural integrity things. Maybe it's just some neatness through her deal and some capacity deals that sort this heifer up to the front for me. Just for that heifer's added performance and udder quality and structural integrity sorts her to the front. Nothing take away from the young man's heifer that comes in second. Love her maternal and eliteness up through her neck and latch and how it ties in top of her shoulder. Maybe we just clean up her brisket just a little bit. Maybe change some of that udder structure as it's starting to come into milk as she's going to calve here in 30, 40, 65 days. Just a really good high quality female. Just maybe gives up some of that performance issue and some of the udder quality issues to the heifer ahead of her. Let's give them a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Winning the senior yearling class, receiving a purple, Lane Schnelly of Diller. Second place, also receiving a purple, Trevin Dorn of Wymore. Entering the ring, this is going to be for selection of our champion and reserve, all other breeds, breeding beef. From the spring heifer class is Shelton Crawford. Fall heifer class will be Elise Derrickson and Paisley Seabrant. From the spring yearling class, Boston Crawford and Bo Beavers. Junior yearling, Luke Katz, Grace Lovell. And out of the senior yearling class, just completed, Lane Schnelly and Trevin Dorn. Single entry fall heifer class of commercial should be at the gate. Spring yearlings should also be at the ring, followed by junior yearlings.
As we get all of our class winners and their respective seconds back out here in the AOB division, you kind of got to be conscious of, because you have multiple breeds that bring different things to the industry and different perspectives and shapes and styles and kind of that different breeds offer different perspectives and how they're built and how they're designed and the things they bring to the industry and bring to the table to help the beef industry move forward. But for me, it's still a good female is a good female. She's going to have capacity. She's going to have length of body. She's going to have some maternal built from her front third, 1/3. She has to have some structural integrity, but stand down on some substance, at least in my part of the world and where my customer base, we need some cattle that has some substance. We're trying to raise steers and bulls to get in the commercial market and help our commercial beef industry move forward. But for me, there's two females out here that kind of sort themselves to the top to be your champion reserve. Let's give these kids one more big round of applause, and I'll go here and slow you the two that I like.
Congratulations to Luke Katz. He had your champion, all other breeds. That award sponsored by Pioneer Seeds. Luke had a Foundation Simmental. Reserve champion, award sponsored by Froggy Bottom Farms, goes to Elise Derrickson with her Hereford out of the fall heifer class. Now move into the commercials. Got a single entry here in the fall heifer class. This is from September 1st to December 31st of 2024. At the gate, we need to have the spring yearlings. Last call for spring yearlings. Going to be a fairly large class.
Let's give this young lady with this August-born heifer a round of applause. Really nice commercial female. Maybe doesn't bring some of the extras to the table we've been looking for throughout the day, but just a really good high capacity, really long spine, long neck female for this young lady. Let's give her a round of applause as she exits the ring.
Receiving a purple in the fall heifer commercial class, Quentin Seabrand of Jansen. Entering the ring, this is going to be our spring yearling class from March 1st of 24 to April 30th of 24. At the gate following this will be our junior yearling class.
Okay, I think we've got her straightened out and settled down here, but all different kinds and shapes and sizes to appease every cattleman in the country out here. For me, maybe it's just some body capacity or rib shape or some structural integrity things to separate all these heifers. Young man's heifer that starts off the class, maybe just ties together the most good things or most things that kind of, I guess, what I applied towards my operation. Is she the most ideal female in her type and kind? No. But for me, she has the give and take and has the most pluses in the good column for me to win this class. Young man's heifer has some length of body and has some depth and some balance, has some structural integrity. If I could change this heifer, maybe I'd give her some more shape of muscle and give her some more substance of bone, maybe clean her up and freshen her up in her condition. She maybe gets a little nickel stale in her type and kind as you study her through her chest floor, and maybe gets a little more cushion up their opponent and pin set area, but just a nice high quality female to win this class for this young man. The heifer that I kind of latched onto, I guess, when she first blew him in the ring was the young man's heifer comes in second. Yes, she is a little more moderate in her kind and easier in her type and kind, but maybe has some pieces that really have to appreciate her rib shape and her length of spine and maybe some quality and maternal value up through her front 1/3. Maybe has that structural integrity.
Go out with her.
Has some structural integrity that you really appreciate. Love the maternal value, just maybe in a more moderate, quicker package for me. Young man's heifer that comes out next here, really big bodied, really level as you study her down her top line, out through her hooks and pins. Maybe gets a little flatter and plainer as you study her through her chest floor. Maybe pushes away a little more condition. Maybe trim her down just a little bit. Maybe she can move up a notch or two for me. But just her biggest downfall is this, her condition. But have to appreciate her body depth and her levelness of lines. Young man's heifer that comes out next, maybe is more shapely in her type and kind, but maybe that becomes part of her problem as she gets a little tubular and shallower in design. Really have to appreciate her when you stand behind her. Love her muscle shape down her top and upper hip. We just maybe wish we could soften her up and maybe make her a little deeper through the center portion of her body. Young man's heifer that comes out next has that center portion of body, has that muscle shape as the heifer ahead of her, and maybe a depth of body. But her biggest downfall is when you ask her to get in motion, she has that structural rigidity through her rear hock and pasture. Maybe wants to knuckle over in her pasture as you ask her to get out and travel. Big stout female, just maybe good free her up in her structure. Young man's heifer that comes next, big, tall, long-sided heifer. Love that body capacity. Maybe ask her to get in move and motion. She gets a little structural integrity. Doesn't have that structural integrity as the heifer's ahead of her. Young man that left earlier, maybe is a really good stout female, just a little modern or type and kind. Gets ahead of the heifer, concludes the class from her muscle standpoint. Love the smoothness, but just gives up the performance, and the young lady concludes the class. Let's give him a round of applause.
In the ring now is the junior yearling class for the commercials. At the gate should be the senior yearlings. Results out of the spring yearling class. Winning the class, receiving a purple, Kason Wagner of Martell. Second, Addison Brandt of Claytonia. And the third purple went to Titan Wagner of Martell. Receiving blues, Peyton Humphreys, Dayton Pullman, Kason Wagner, Landon Cook, and Miley Gaddy.
As we move off into our junior yearling division, the commercial females, for me, the young man's heifer that leads off the class. Is she the biggest scaled? No. Is she the biggest, stoutest, longest bodied one? No. But that was just a maternal, awesome little cow for that young man. Probably has the most good things. She balances up so nice, so maternally designed, yet so refined in her freshness and her condition that some of these heifers below her maybe pushing a little too more condition or some structural issues and has some muscle issues. But this heifer just ties all the good things together. That is a moderate, perfect little maternal cow for this young man. Let's give him a round of applause. Young man's heifer that comes out in second, big-bodied, stout-made female. Maybe her biggest problem is her condition standpoint. She's pushing that bigger brisket out down through her chest floor. Maybe he's pushing a little more condition up over that hip. Maybe makes her a little smoother as you study her over her hip. But just maybe just balance issues for me is that young man's heifer. Just clean her up just a little bit, and maybe she can move ahead for me today. Young man's heifer that comes next has that cleaner issues, but maybe gives up some of that muscle and power and some of that smoothness of lines as two heifers ahead of him. But just a really nice maternal female just has some of that, gives up some of that extra pizzazz to the heifers ahead of him. The young man concludes the heifer. Really love her levelness and lines and love her smoothness. Just maybe give her some more performance and maybe give her some more substance to compete with the heifers ahead of him. Let's give them a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Results of your junior yearling class. Class that had 2 purples and 2 blues. First purple, Peyton Humphreys of Wymore. Second goes to Landon Cook of Odell. Third is Jacob Wallenberg of DeWitt. And receiving a blue, Gage Argo of Liberty. 2 head here in the senior yearling commercial class. 9-1 of 23 to December 31st of 23. That'll be followed up by the 2-year-old class. We'll then go into the selection of the champion and reserve commercial breeding. Following that will be the home and raised division. Start bringing those animals to the ring.
I'm going to leave them as they come in. Young man's black heifer will win your class. For me, it's just a structural integrity standpoint. Both senior yearling females are really good in their body capacity and their type and kind. Love the maternal build-ups as you study them through their front 1/3. Both of the females are going to calve here in 60 days. Both are laying down some good udder quality. Going to calve before their second birthday. So productivity records will be high quality for these young men. Maybe it's just some rigidity on the shorthorn, a plus type female, or the shorthorn cross type female. It'll be your second. Maybe it gets a little too rigid in her hock for me, but just a really good high quality female to win this class. Let's give them a round of applause.
Your champion senior yearling went to Dalton Dorn of Wymore. Second went to Sheldon Crawford of Beatrice. We'll now have selection of the champion and reserve champion commercial breeding beef. You're first or second in any of the previous 5 classes. Please bring your animal into the ring. Following this, we need the home bred and raised animals to the gate. Following that, we will have the champion and reserve. Actually, we have we're going to do a top 5 breeding beef this year. If you're one of the breed winners, bring your animals to the ring for that.
single entry here in our 2-year-old female division, the commercial show. Just a really good cow prospect for this young man. It's going to be a cost-effective, efficient young female cow for this young man. Let's give him a round of applause and see how she stacks up in the final drive.
Receiving a purple in that class is Hunter Keedy of Holmesville. This will be for selection of the champion or reserve champion commercial. Go to the first class, Quinn Seabrandt. Spring yearling class will be Kason Wagner and Addison Brandt. Junior yearling is Peyton Humphreys and Landon Cook. Senior yearling class, Dalton Dorn and Shelton Crawford, and Hunter Keedy, who won the last class. Once this is all in the ring, we need to have the January heifer for the homebred and raised, followed by the spring and senior yearlings.
Let's give our 5 exhibitors, our class winners out here, a round of applause in our commercial show. In our respective seconds have come back out here to compete for reserve. Let's, for me, it's just the little things in middle of the road, commercial females. There's no big wow factor. They're just going to go out and make you money and get it done. All 5 of these females will get this done for these young people. They'll make money and be profitable females. This is as good a beef cattle market we've ever seen in our lives. I mean, we can sell feeder cattle for $5 and $6, 4 weights and 5 weights. I've heard some crazy numbers come out of South Dakota and Oklahoma selling the wheat cattle right now. But this is the best time to be in the beef industry. I know cows are high, but it's a good time to be in the beef industry. Let's give these kids a round of applause. I'll go out here and select your champion in reserve.
The champion commercial breeding beef. That award sponsored by Beeler Cattle. Congratulations goes to Dalton Dorn of Wymore. Reserve champion award sponsored by Zollner Ford, Lincoln of Beatrice. Congratulations to Peyton Humphreys, also of Wymore. Going to move in now to the homebred and raised. We're going to have I believe, the January heifer class, followed by spring yearling and senior yearling. Have selection of the homebred and raised champion reserve. Then we'll go into the top 5 of the breeding beef overall awards. If you're first or second, your champion reserve, I guess it would be, in any of the breeds, you will come back and compete for that overall breeding beef top 5.
Let's give this young lady with her bred and owned, home-raised heifer, January heifer, a big round of applause. To bring one this bred and owned of this quality back to a county fair is my hat's off to her. This is a high-quality maternal female for this young lady, big-bodied, substance, has some structural integrity, just a good high-quality horn Charolais cross female for this young lady. Let's give her a round of applause.
Receiving a purple in the January heifer class, Charity Schnelly of DeWitt. Entering now is the spring yearling, homebred and raised, March 1st, 2024 to April 30th of 24. At the gate should be the senior yearling class of homebred and raised. These spring yearling females, these young men have created these bred and owned females, two really high quality females that are a little different in their type and kind. The baldy female for me just has that extra length and extension, the neatness and design, but the biggest thing is there's some freshness and quality. There's a study through her chest floor and up through her top of her neck and her crest. That's just really good, elite, fresh female for this young man. The young man's heifer that comes out in the Angus bred type female that comes out in second. Big-bodied, high-capacity female. Just maybe he's pushing a little too much condition for this stage of the game and for age, but just a big-bodied, easy-doing, fleshing female for this young man. Let's give them both a big round of applause. Winning your spring yearling class that received both purples would be first would be Jacob Wallenberg of DeWitt. Second purple goes to Bo McClintock of Odell. Senior yearling class is going to be coming in right now, September 1st, 23 to 12/31 of 23. Following this single entry class, we'll need the first and second of that last class to come back in and compete for the Champion Reserve Homebred and Raised breeding animal.
Single entry here in our senior yearling division. Let's give this young man a round of applause for this long spine, really elite, freshly made heifer for this young man. Going to make an elite cow here, going to calf here in 60 days, he says. Let's give him a round of applause as he exits the ring.
Receiving a purple in the senior yearling class, Augie Wallenberg of DeWitt. Entering the ring, this will be for selection of the Champion and Reserve Homebred and Raised breeding animal. Charity Schnelly out of the January class, spring yearlings. Jacob Wallenberg was a winner of that, followed by Bo McClintock, and then out of the senior yearling class that just completed, Augie Wallenberg of DeWitt. Huge thank you for the sponsorship of both of the Champion and Reserve to Froggy Bottom Farms.
Let's give a round of applause to these four exhibitors to breed these females at home as babies and calve them and bring them back here as big yearlings and senior yearlings as bred and owned projects, to know what they are born and to live with these cattle for their whole life, not just bought them or raised them or come from grandpa's or dad's pasture or neighbors or whatever, but these young individuals bred and raised these females. So my hat's off to these young people. They know these cattle inside and out, birthdays and breeding dates and what breed makeups and things you should know of, some fundamentals. But I'll go ahead and select you the two that I like. Let's give them a round of applause as I do so. Your champion, homebred and raised breeding animal. Congratulations to Charity Schnelly of DeWitt with her January heifer. The reserve champion came out of the spring yearling class. Congratulations to Jacob Wallenberg of DeWitt. At the gate, they are lining up the breeding beef champions. These are going to be the champion and reserves from all the breeds. From what I understand, the champions of all the breeds will come into the ring. The reserves will be on deck outside the gate.
Going to be selecting a top 5 today for the breeding beef. This is the final selection of the day. All of our breed champions. Out of the Angus is Corbin Schroeder of Beatrice. On deck, reserve champion is Tatum Schroeder of the Angus breed. Charlet went to Zach Schnelly. The reserve champion of the Charlet on deck is Hannah Schnelly. Our champion from the Simmental division, Jordan Van Scoik. On deck with reserve champion Simmental, Blakely Katz. All other breeds was Luke Katz. Reserve champion Elise Derrickson. From the commercial, Dalton Dorn and Peyton Humphreys. Then from the homebred and raised, your champion, Charity Schnelly. And on deck would be Jacob Wallenberg. Once again, selection of the top 5 breeding beef here at the Gage County Fair. This is the last time we'll have him here today. And I want to give a huge thank you to Eddie Sandberg, once again from Agenda, Kansas. Gave up a lot of his time to come here today. He's got over 100 cow-calf pairs. Takes care of, once again, grew up in Indiana, attended K-State on the judging team. Worked for Kevin Jansen over in Kansas for 20 years. Been coast to coast. Had national champions in 3 different countries. Put our hands together and give a big round of applause. Thanks for coming today, Eddie Sandberg. Also like to thank Sean Crackey for doing the video streaming today. If you had a family member that wasn't able to be here and wants to watch, see how the show went, it's always archived. I believe it's on YouTube. Just tell them to do a search for the Gage County Fair Beef Show, and it should pull up. High quality, appreciate it. He does pretty much every show here at the county fair. Thanks, Sean, and make sure to go take a look at that.
Well, I guess this is the end of the line for me, and I get to pick 5 more females, and then my job's done. But it's been my pleasure and my honor to come up here. And I know I got called just a few weeks ago because somebody backed out to come up here and fill in. But I take it with great pride and honor that I got the call to come up here and sort through your young people and sort through your livestock. And it's been a pleasure and an honor of mine. And the quality of cattle has been second to none, and the exhibitor's been even better than that. My ring staff, thank you to my ring staff helping helping keep things moving around here, to the little girls up here by the deal, help keep me lined up on what ribbon placings I need to give and things like that. Been second to none. But once again, thank you to all the extension and fair board or whoever got my name out here to come up here and sort through these. I appreciate it. It's been fun. With that being said, I'll go out and select your top 5. Let's give all these kids a big round of applause as I do so.
Your grand champion breeding beef. Congratulations to Jordan Van Scoik with her Simmental. Coming in to compete for 4 other awards is Blakely Katz with her reserve Simmental. Congratulations to Blakely Katz, who had the reserve Simmental. That is your reserve champion, first runner-up, grand champion breeding beef here at the fair. Champion award, thank you to Booth Feeds. That reserve champion, thanks to Triple S Cattle. Second runner-up, congratulations, Luke Katz, champion that came out of the all other breeds. That award by Triple S Cattle. Coming in to compete for final 2 awards, Elise Derrickson. Your third runner-up, congratulations. Award sponsored by Schroeder Trucking goes to Zach Schnelly. He had that cow-calf pair that came out of the Charlet division. Coming in is Hannah Schnelly. And congratulations, the fourth runner-up grand champion goes to Corbin Schroeder. He had the champion Angus. That award sponsored by Schroeder Trucking. Congratulations to all the exhibitors today. Thank you to Eddie Sandberg, the judge, once again from Agenda, Kansas, for filling in for us on short notice. Thank you to everyone who helped put on the show today. Everybody enjoy the rest of the fair. Thank you. If you have a market beef that you want to have in the premium auction on Sunday, there are registration forms in front of the announcer stand. Make sure to get those filled out. Get to the fair office. I believe those have to be turned in 1 hour after the swine show. Don't miss that opportunity. Once again, those registration forms for the premium auction held on Sunday. It's in front of the announcer stand.